the educational system says it's for the benefit of the students. I kind of think it's maybe to make the teacher's job easier. I don't know, but when you've got 35 people in your class, you need everything you can do to make it easier, which is, of course, the problem with the public school system.
In the thinking too with organic, are you both happy that you were exposed to the activity periods to the extent that we were? Folk dancing, all of
Oh, man.
It always amazes me when people, well, they used to call us the basket weavers and that sort of thing, and put us down for having any of the artistic advantages that we did, whether it was the clay or, but it's carried over in my life. It's still one of my favorite things to do is to be involved with the pottery or the metal and the music. And I don't know to what extent that exists in public schools because I'm not associated with it now, but I don't know anybody who's carrying over any of that into their later years, and I find a lot of joy in it.
Well, within our own county schools, and I guess Mobile County too, they're bragging now because the children are getting one art class a week, either music or art, one class a week. And there again, it's structure. Stay within the lines sort of thing in your drawing.
Yeah, I used to come early and stay late just to be with Miss Bell.
Miss Bell.
Yeah.
Miss Irene.
Jesse Irene.
Talking about art, guys, we were getting all kind of art. We had clay, silver, leather, woodworking, of course, and making the plaques out of plaster pears. You know, we did those things.
Well, I used to like to come to school early in the morning to go help her, and then stay after school to help her. And I don't know if it's because I was so intensely interested, which I was, but she was available too. It was like the door was there, and just come on in and let's do it, you know. And I run into sometimes now with the school system, if you want to talk to the teacher, you have to make an appointment through the secretary and all that stuff, and it's distancing. It just makes it harder and harder. It puts more distance between people, I think. And I think it's too bad.
That was part of the structure or the thinking of school too. Even though classes were over always at 3.
Yeah.
The science building was open, the crafts building was open, the shop was open.
A lot of us didn't leave.
Typing was open, and you had to leave at 5. Most times we didn't even want to leave at 5 o'clock.
And how are you going to work that in the public school system when she says, but I have a contract that says that I be here at 8, I leave here at 3, and you don't bother me after that.
Well, that
I'm putting in my hours and I'm getting my salary, and that's what the union says, and that's the way it is. And
yes, that is part of our big problem.
maybe those people should be.
And the children feel that.
Oh, well, of course they do. It defines them.
I think more parents would be involved if they felt they were making any inroad to correcting. I think they get discouraged.
And when you think back of the facilities we had, such as transportation, I don't remember what kind of a rickety old bus we had, but Kenny would load us up in it, our basketball coach, your dear party husband, we loved it. But he'd load us up in that thing, we'd go off to here, there, and yon. Imagine the liability exposure nowadays.
Couldn't do that.
You just can't do those things. But we'd get there and we'd get back.
Everybody's suit-minded now.
Everybody wants to go in a suit. I remember when our folks, we used to have Saturdays where in fact, we painted this building once, we whitewashed it. And it was the parents up here replacing windows, and it wasn't a question of whether it was air conditioned. It wasn't air conditioned. But they were willing to come up and work on the building, and it seems like parents now, particularly public school parents, all they want to do is protest, is demanding this and that and this for the school. Don't raise my taxes, don't expect me to pay for it, don't expect me to come swing a hammer, just do it. And it obviously is not working.
No, and just pouring more money into than you feel is not the solution. It's participation of those.
Well, of course. The parents, they simply have to be involved with their children's education. Maybe our high schools are just daycare centers, public schools.
So how do you feel about private schools? Do you feel that what we really need is a good, free, so to speak, public school education throughout the United
Sure, I think you've got to have make education available to all. It's people are just going to have to say, let's pay for it, and people are going to have to demand, as they're beginning to, accountability. Um, Teachers should be tested. If they're not doing the job, they shouldn't have the job. Why should an ineffective or a bad teacher be allowed to ruin 1,000 children just because the union's behind them? I mean, it's bizarre. What's more important here?
Very strong union.
It's the tail is wagging the dog. And, but yes, it needs to be rethought, and it needs to be examined. And I think accountability is what's missing.
Well, how do you feel though about when you say teachers should be tested? Sometimes, and I'm sure you found it in your experience of teachers, those who maybe have the highest degree